Hello and welcome to the Great British Mickey Waffle, a positive band of British voices united in all things Disney. So coming up on the show today we have a very special guest who is fresh off Disney's latest cruise ship, the Disney Wish. But before we start sailing away, I'm joined by my fellow Wafflers, Becca, Claire, Jill and Peter.
Hello.
Hi Ben.
I don't know if the other hand you can actually see it.
Do you have all of your life jackets ready just in case my captain's skills aren't up to
I
scratch?
hope that's not going to be a situation we enter today, Ben. I'm not going to cope with that very well.
Claire,
We'll be fine.
we know your Wi-Fi can be hit and miss. I wonder whether it's like that on the
It's
Disney
probably
Wish.
better on the Wish, to be honest with you.
If it's anything like on the Magic, yes. It's hit and miss. Yeah.
I've done my muster drill. I'm okay.
Okay, so we're all ready, we're packed, we're ready to...
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
without further ado, I'd like to warmly welcome Amanda from Me and the Magic. Hi, Amanda.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
How are you?
I'm fantastic, and it's so great to be here with you all.
It's great that you're here. So, for those who aren't familiar with what you do, Amanda, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and your sort of Disney story?
Sure. Let's see. I have lived in Orlando just a little over a year, but I've always been a Disney fan. And I used to live in Indiana and then New York, and I kind of refound my love for Walt Disney World when I went with friends in 2012. And I wanted to go back immediately, and they said, "Oh, well, you have to work. We don't have enough money, you know." And I said, "Well, maybe I'll go solo." And I started looking for resources for going solo, and there really was not much out there. A lot of it, of course, is geared more towards what you would envision the nuclear family to be. And so I had an idea to do Disney travel for all, so that it was kind of all inclusive. Disney travel is for anyone and everyone. So I launched the website for that. And then after a while of doing that, I thought, well, let me try podcast and form a community, because it kind of felt like that was missing from it. And of course, I started it in January 2020, which was not the best time to start a podcast.
Yeah, we know that feeling.
But the community, really took off, and people, of course, were missing being able to get to Walt Disney World. Especially have a lot of now Canadian friends in the community that couldn't come down for a long time. And so the community's really grown. The podcast has grown, and as it was growing, I realized I wanted to expand beyond just Disney, and I wanted to maybe focus a little more on solo travel. So I've actually just rebranded to Me and the Magic.
I love that. Claire, because you only recently had a solo trip, and I know you're planning another one as well later this year.
I took my first solo trip to any Disney park back in May. Wasn't I travelled solo. When I got there, I met with lots of friends, so it wasn't really too solo. But I go back at the beginning of December for my second solo trip. So, and actually, I've just been organising some stuff to do with some friends. So it's liberating. Also, I found it really quite frightening before I did it, but when I got there, I was fine.
Mm-hmm.
There were certain bits of it that gave me anxiety, apart from the travel, sort of like eating in a restaurant on my own. I was like, not sure how that looks, but it was fine.
I think it's because you get so used to travelling as a family, a couple, and you get used to that. So when you've done multiple trips, it's like, oh, now I'm on my own.
Was so
it's
great
out of that routine.
not having to worry about other people. I know that sounds awful, but just choosing what I want to do next, and not, if I want to go on the ferry boat, I'll go on the ferry boat. Thank you very much. It was nice.
Yeah.
There's a nice freedom and independence to it. And I actually just had an episode on how you could travel solo without feeling lonely, because I think that that's one of the major concerns, along with dining alone. A lot of people feel very self-conscious about that. But what I've learned is that everybody's way more focused on themselves and their own vacation and not watching you.
Yeah, that's true. So Disney announced their latest cruise ship all the way back in September of 2019 for D23. So, I know we spent a lot about D23 recently, and it was all the way back then. And they announced the Wish, which is the fifth ship of the Disney Cruise Line family, and its first sailing was this year on 14th of July. So from new dining experiences with Marvel, Frozen, and so much more from other ships that have come across, I think this is the most refined and elegant cruise ship to date. Amanda, you've recently been on the Wish. What was your sort of first experience compared to other ships that you've been on?
I've been on all of them, each of them once. So this was on the Wish was my 5th Disney cruise, and it is definitely the most elegant, and it really is, as people describe, a castle on the sea. I mean, it's just absolutely gorgeous. Takes your breath away when you walk in. And I can go into a lot more detail.
So, being your 5th trip, did you get the special 5th?
The gold.
The gold.
I had to complete it to be considered gold, so I was still considered silver.
I know.
So I'm actually going on the Wish again in December, so I'm going for the gold.
Hey.
It's always any excuse to book another cruise, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's an absolutely gorgeous ship. The way it's laid out is different, and I imagine we'll talk about that. Some people had mixed feelings about that. I didn't mind not having the midship elevators. I thought that it was not
thing, hasn't it? Yeah,
it has been, and I don't really, to each their own, but I didn't find it that confusing at all.
I think
So I found it pretty easy to find my way around.
I think maybe if you've been on sort of Disney and all the cruise ships before, that it can probably get confusing if you're used to where things are, like on the Magic, on the Fantasy, and the Dream. It's like that's sort of you know where the elevators are. That's where you go to. So I'm wondering whether that's where some of the confusions come from. Is like I'm expecting this to be here or that to be here, but you don't have that in Disney hotels. Not all of them are the same layout. So
Yeah.
I'm wondering if it's more the people that have only been on one ship, but they've been on it multiple times because they're so used to that ship, where everything is on that ship. But when you go on a different one, everything is different and everything is laid out different.
yeah.
I wonder if they'd
I
actually
think
feel
so.
the same if they'd done the Magic 5 times and then went on the Fantasy.
And we found it very easy. We had a wonderful stateroom on deck 7 near the aft elevators, and it was very easy to get to everything, even though it is a larger ship than even the Dream and the Fantasy. I liked being the aft better because the main dining rooms are all aft. Marceline Market on deck 11, that's all more toward the aft.
Did it feel much bigger than the previous ships?
It did on the upper decks because of the way they have designed it to decks 11, 12, 13. Now there's a lot more room to stand watching the deck parties, which I liked aspect of it. But the pools themselves are smaller and they're not very deep. Now, granted, I don't go on a cruise ship to do a bunch of laps, but I like that there are smaller pools because it is Disney and there are a lot of kids. So if a kid has an accident in the pool, you have to drain the pool. And that was partly, I think, why they designed it that way. But I did not love some of the pool layouts, especially the adult area. It's beautiful to look at. And when you're in the infinity pool looking out the aft, but the problem is you can't fit that many people in there. The capacities listed are much larger than what I would be comfortable with in those pools, and the designs just kind of puzzled me with some of the design choices. So I much prefer actually the adult pool areas on the other 4 ships.
Right.
There's a lot more coffee shops, it seems, on the Wish than any other ship.
I guess they think people need them to be caffeinated a lot.
Oh yeah.
it's because you have to pay for it, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
You do.
yeah.
Yeah, the Cove Cafe and the adult pool area, you actually have to walk all the way around the aft to get to it because right by the Cove Cafe is blocked by the slides, so you can't come in that way. But then they have a really beautiful coffee bar as you're walking into Marceline Market, which is like Cabanas, the quick service. And that's a really nice area, but yes, you have to pay for it. And then they have on decks 3, 4, and 5 different coffee areas that also serve alcohol. And even at the Bayou, they start serving coffee in the morning, beignets, and alcohol. $5 mimosas and Bloody Marys.
That's not bad.
I have a feeling our trip on the Wish is going to get very expensive very quickly.
I don't drink. You're all right. I don't drink mimosas and Bloody Marys. You're fine.
No, I'm just thinking of the coffee.
No,
Ben does.
Coffee I
Speak for
drink.
yourself.
Yes.
Ben drinks them like a fish.
Well, you said beignets, so I'm there.
Yeah, you had me at beignets.
We did not try the beignets, but we did try the Bloody Marys and mimosas. Though.
Priorities.
They had their own carts that they were making them, so you could get them whatever spice level you wanted, things added to the Bloody Marys or the mimosas, different types of juices with it, or just a little juice, a lot of champagne.
Oh, okay, so maybe we'll try some of the mimosas.
As we're talking about alcohol, I think one of the big things that I think we've seen sort of promoted by a lot of sort of people vlogging and reporting on it is the Hyperspace Lounge with the, was it the $5,000 cocktail?
It is.
That would pay for another. I was going to say that would pay for another cruise, maybe two
cruises.
What could possibly be worth that? I don't. Did you see anyone having it, Amanda? Did you see anyone buying it while you were there?
No, I did not. I know someone who did buy it though on a previous sailing, and she bought it because it includes, I think, 4 people being able to go to the Skywalker Ranch, to the winery in California. I'm not sure exactly where in California. So it doesn't include getting there. You just have to pay for transportation to get there, but it does cover that. And then the drink itself was very complex from what I've read, with all these different components. And I just don't really love alcohol enough to pay that.
No.
I'm not sure I love anything enough to pay that, quite frankly.
Disney?
Just alcohol.
Trip to Disney?
There's lots of things
I
could pay that for.
think that's like 3 experiences at the Galactic Star Cruiser. It's the same sort of price.
Crazy.
Oh gosh. Yeah, I'd rather go on another cruise, I think.
Yeah,
same.
Yeah, definitely.
But it was very cool to go in, I will say. And I think they've done away now with getting reservations to go in, which I'm really glad
good.
because that was a little stressful, to try to get the reservation as soon as I could get on the ship's Wi-Fi, which the hint is as soon as you enter the building to go in the security line, get on the ship's Wi-Fi. So you can check your dining rotation and make any, if you want to try to do any adult dining last minute, you can try to do all that on there. But we went at 1:30 in the afternoon. So that's the time that kids can come in. There's only one kid in there, but that was one of the only times we could get that didn't conflict with dinner or show. It's very cool. I'm not a huge Star Wars fan, but I can admire it for what it is. And they did have some really nice non-alcoholic drinks also, because we were kind of cleansing ourselves that day after we had imbibed a little bit the day before. So,
We all have those days on the cruise.
Yes.
Yeah.
yes,
It seems quite small, doesn't it? The bar seems quite small from what I've seen.
Yes, I'd say too, if you get a choice, choose a bench that's kind of attached to one of the walls or a booth, because there's some just fun vibrational happening there that makes you feel like you even more that you are on, not like that, but that you are on the that you're on the lounge, the Star Cruiser. So
That's good. I like that. So it just sort of sounds like the sort of sounds and atmosphere you get from like being Galaxy's Edge, but in sort of the lounge. That's probably a bit like Ogre's Cantina a little bit.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
It was interesting because Oga's, and even we'll talk about the kids club, probably the Oceaneers club, but they are more, not grungy, but do you know what I mean? That they look a little more like the lived in Star Wars, and this was very shiny.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it looked much more sleek and new. So it was a little different vibe, but still very cool. And when, of course, it does the hyperspeed jumps, was very nice.
I think we said earlier about it all being elegant, and I think that probably goes through a lot of bits, through everything we've seen of the ship so far. There's nothing that doesn't sort of scream sort of that sort of expense, that no expense spared from Disney.
The Atrium particularly, I mean, it looks breathtaking.
It really is.
From the videos we've seen, I can't imagine how it must be to actually be there.
Yes, I mean, the way they've incorporated all of this LED lighting now, and what all they do with it, just like trickling around you, it just looks so magical. And then they have different shows on that stage throughout the day, and it's interesting how they incorporate now that stage into everything.
I'm so glad they have a stage there and not just something in front of the restaurant. Because obviously we've been on the Magic, and obviously Lumiere's is right there, so you have all these people trying to perform and everyone's queuing up to try and get into the restaurant.
There was some of that, a little confusion, because now you have 1923 there and there are two sides to it. So that's kind of interesting too, because if you go down the center, you're going back to the aft elevators, but on either side, one is the Roy Disney side and one is the Walt Disney side. And people at first, even though it says it labeled, the first night at dinner, everyone's still a little confused about which side they're supposed to go on, and they're lining up. So anytime in the atrium they would have character meets, that's where they did all of the princess meet and greet. They would rope off the area around the atrium, so it was always a little bit confusing when people were lining up for dinner and something like that was going on. But I think they're still learning, because we went at the end of August, so they weren't that far into it, and we found that some cast and crew were still just learning how to make it all work best.
And it's probably not something that you can work out until it's full of people.
Absolutely. Yeah. And they even go on a lot of rotations. I know the entertainment group right now is about to rotate to the next entertainment group, because I know someone who's going to be the next Elsa in the Arendelle restaurant. So they have the next cast actually just boarded yesterday or today to be trained for the next 2 weeks, and then kind of take over. So the cast right now, I'm following some of them online, and they're doing their 2-week countdown. Kind of mixed emotions, I imagine.
So the 3 main dining rooms, which was your favorite?
My favorite actually was Arendelle. And I like Frozen, but it's not my number one movie. I thought that it might be 1923, and I love Marvel too. So our first night was Worlds of Marvel. Are you all Marvel fans?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I was very excited for that one, and I think that it's really wonderful that they can do more with it, and I think they will start to do more with it. So I don't want to spoil the show or anything.
I think
but
with the name
really
of it, because they called it World of Marvel, it's not like they've stuck with 1 or 2 characters.
They could change it up quite easily.
As the MCU progresses over the next couple of years, they could easily switch out and upgrade to, I don't know, I'm not sure what other characters that you'd like to have dinner with. I know you'd probably say Loki, but...
Any of them? All of them?
They did a nice video that had a lot of great characters in there, ones that I was even surprised to see. So that was fun. I think during the dinner, they could maybe do a little bit more with all the video screens. The food in that one, unfortunately, was my least favorite. So I think that there's a little room for improvement there, but they'll get there. I'm confident of that. But it was very entertaining, I will say. And then 1923, we actually ate in the most, because that was the one that was open for the embarkation day lunch. And we decided to do that instead of Marceline Market. And then it was open for the breakfast and lunch if you wanted the sit down options on the other days. So we ate there, I think, like 5 times.
Wow.
quite
it
a
looks
bit.
beautiful.
It does.
It absolutely was gorgeous. And I could have walked around and taken in all of the different nostalgic pieces and artwork. And I mean, there's so much to see. So we only ate on the Roy Disney side twice, and the rest we were always seated on the Walt Disney side. But it was very good food. There's nothing entertaining, but there's so much to look at around you that, that wasn't really necessary. But they had some wonderful food, ahi tuna, which is a little bit similar to what the Enchanted Garden has on the Dream and the Fantasy, but it was fantastic. So enjoyed that. But yeah, Arendelle was just special. I mean, the show was fantastic. The performers were so good. To see Olaf being wheeled around talking to everyone was just so fun. It just had a different tone, and it started that way because the very long hallway that normally on the other ships you're walking along that hallway on the port side, and it's open to everyone, but that long hallway is where the restaurant starts, so that's where you're queuing up to go in, and it's as if you're entering the castle. And all the portraits on the walls are as they are shown and described in the movie. And it was pretty remarkable. And then just all the details in there was just fantastic. So much theming, so much great theming overall. I had a wonderful frozen fractals cocktail.
Oh, right, okay.
It was beautiful blue and very nice. And then the food actually was my favorite. There was this baked scallop dish that looked like almost a pot pie, the way it was in this dough, but it wasn't too doughy. The scallops were somehow cooked perfectly in it. These meatballs and egg noodles were ridiculous. They were so delicious. So we had a wonderful time there, and then we got to go back there again actually for Pirate Night, which the performers are not there, but it was just fun to have that opportunity to go back in again and see details that we had missed the night before even.
Right.
Yeah.
Is Pirate Night done differently on the Wish versus the other ones?
The only thing that was done differently, so there were 2 deck shows. There is the Mickey and Minnie deck show that is in between the dinner times, and I think that's the one that's fairly standard. And then the later deck show, which was at 10:15, that has changed. So it was more of this wonderful, fun 80s rock vibe that they had. Red, she was the lead performer. Then of course they had Jack Sparrow making an appearance, but they then, and the wonderful thing too is that still the fireworks are shot off on the starboard side, but they're shot off in 2 different locations, and they have a live band playing to the fireworks.
Oh wow.
So I mean, it brought chills. It was wonderful. It was absolutely the best I've seen, the best stage show I've seen. It topped my Marvel deck stage show. I went on a Marvel Day at Sea on the Magic in February, and it was more impressive to me than that even.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you do any of the adult dining, any of the special dining?
I didn't this time, and that's I think a frustration a lot of people are having who are not platinum or concierge, because the Wish has 76 concierge rooms. It's more than any other ship by far. And so those concierge are taking a lot of the dining reservations, and to the point even some platinum are having trouble getting them.
Okay.
So we tried for the waiting list, but the other part of it was I think we could have gotten Palo dinner, but we didn't want to miss any of the main dining room for being the first time. I do have an enchanté dinner reservation for December, so I was able to get that, because since I've been on it once, I thought, okay,
I need to do something a little bit different. I know.
Now.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit challenging if it's only a 3 or 4 night sailing. But I also understand why they're only doing the 3 and 4 night sailings, because the Arendelle show and the Marvel show are always going to be the same. It's not like not Art of Animation, the Animator's Palette. That has 2 different shows if you're on a longer sailing.
So what was your itinerary? Sorry, I don't know if you mentioned that. Where did you go to when?
No, that's all right. We sailed out of Port Canaveral, and then day 2 was a day at sea. Day 3 was Nassau, and day 4 was Castaway. And we had gorgeous weather. It was such smooth seas, and we really looked out, because I know that there were some challenges recently with the hurricanes and ships being diverted. And and the other thing, this ship is so well designed that as far as the thrusters, and you could barely even feel it, to the point we almost missed that feeling of motion. It was so smooth. Yeah, so I know that some itineraries, they switch it up a little bit, that they might go to Nassau and then Castaway and then a day at sea. I think that's what ours is going to be in December, and I kind of like that. I don't love Castaway being the last day, because that's always a sad night when you're having to pack and hurry a little bit, so I like Castaway coming back on the ship and just chilling a little bit before you have to think about packing.
We've got ours booked for next June.
Yeah, I can't remember what our itinerary is though.
It's Nassau, then Castaway Cay.
Is it Nassau, Castaway Cay, then day at sea?
Yeah.
Oh, very nice.
Have you ever done any other itineraries on Disney cruises?
I did. The first one I did was just a 3 night on the Disney Dream, and just to kind of get a feel for it. And that was just Nassau Castaway back to Port Canaveral, and it was way too short.
Yep.
So
Yes.
then I
Absolutely. Yeah.
yes, way too short. Then I did a solo cruise. I didn't know anybody on the ship, on the Fantasy, and that was a 7-night Eastern Caribbean, Tortola and St. Thomas, and that was fantastic. And Castaway. That was absolutely wonderful, and it was a very maritime cruise too, which was beautiful.
Right, okay. Very nice.
Wow.
Yes.
I would love to do that.
Yes, and then February 2020, we snuck it in. We were one of the last sailings. We were on the Wonder out of New Orleans, and that was a 7-night, and we stopped at Key West and I think Castaway. I think those were the maybe Nassau too. But I love that one because after Castaway, we had 2 sea days coming back into New Orleans. So that was wonderful. And then the Magic this past February was the Marvel Day at Sea. And that was out of Miami, which was beautiful to sail out of, but I don't like that port. It was just kind of a pain with driving and parking, and not nearly as easy as Port Canaveral for me anyway.
We've had the same at Miami Airport as well.
Yeah.
It's just Miami in general, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that one we actually were supposed to stop in Grand Cayman, but it was February and they still were not allowing ships. So we had 2 days at Castaway.
Oh,
Nice.
Right, okay.
That was fantastic. So
as long as you like Castaway, it's good.
Yeah.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, if you don't like Castaway, yeah.
We have only done the Magic so far.
Because the Magic is the only one that's been to Britain so far.
We did we did Barcelona. And the Med cruise for 7 nights. That was our first ever cruise. First ever cruise anywhere. And absolutely fell in love with it. Yeah.
And then Central did the special 3-day all at sea trips from the UK.
Oh, that was nice.
They were,
Staycation cruises,
Staycation cruises, yeah.
I'd do that again.
It was when Disney Magic was stuck in the UK and we couldn't go anywhere else.
Right.
But that was nice. That was our first ever cruise. So, and that's sort of given us
I would
the
like
bug
to do the Magic again. Yeah. In February, even they weren't doing full character interaction, so I don't know about when you were on it, but at Rapunzel's royal table, they weren't dancing all around, and
it was all socially distanced, and
they didn't turn the pub into the Snuggly Duckling.
No. Although,
so we have to go back.
Although when you first went on the Magic that time, Mickey and Minnie were doing a special show for 5 groups of people, and then you went away, and then the show for the next 5 groups of people.
Yes.
Because there wasn't a sail away show. So,
Right. Yes, they had a nice
way they handled
sail
it.
Away.
The way they handled things was amazing.
It's true.
Yeah.
It was very, very well done, all things considered. Because in February we were still wearing masks indoors.
Yeah. We have a very difficult surname, and Disney Cruise have always got it right.
Yeah.
Always.
Amazing.
So that's good. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you find that you get to know some of the CMs and you see them again and again?
I think that's a good excuse for me to cruise a little bit more to get to that point. But I actually did go in the spa, and it's a beautiful spa. And I got a massage one day and then decided to get a facial the next day. And the woman came out to give me my facial, and she had a unique name. And I said, I recognize your name. And she said, well, you look familiar. And then we got to talking as she was giving me my facial, and she had given me a massage on the Fantasy in 2019.
Wow.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Small world.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yes. But there are, I think, a lot of repeats, but there are also a lot of newer people on the Wish.
Okay.
And I talked to some other cast members who were on like the Magic, and they said they wanted to stay on the Magic because they wanted to travel more and not just have that 3 and 4 night itinerary out of Port Canaveral, which I could understand.
Yeah.
It's because at D23 we also know the new ship was the Disney Treasure, so there's going to be even more.
That's got to be a pirate themed ship, that one.
It's an adventure themed ship, isn't it? It's going to be Aladdin.
Yes.
Yeah. So
it looks like
I'm
it's going to be
that,
gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder where that's going to go.
Who knows?
Oh,
In the
gosh.
sea.
Yeah. Thank you, Claire.
Well, I imagine what they'll do is move whichever ship is doing the 7-night cruises out of Port Canaveral or Miami at the moment, move the Wish to that itinerary and have the Treasure doing the 3 and 4 nights that the Wish is doing.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Or they'll move the Wish
Yeah,
to the 3 and 4
stateroom.
nights out of Miami.
Yeah.
Amanda,
yeah.
you mentioned the kids stuff. You said you were going to talk about the kids stuff.
Oh my gosh. If I could be a kid again.
Yes.
Some of it
Yeah,
looks
It's that
amazing.
slide in the atrium.
It is, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the kids' work, yes.
My friend did the slide. I did not do the slide. I videoed her coming down the slide. But,
That's the best
it,
option.
it looked, yes, exactly. But they had the Star Wars area that, of course, we didn't have the band. You know, the kids get this band like a magic band that they can scan in and it remembers them. And then they can queue up on these screens and continue with their activities. But there were things in there that looked like they were living and breathing. And I mean, it was incredible. And then the Marvel area, if you're a Marvel fan, all the Easter eggs that were in that area, from the locker names to the PIM area with all the particle accelerators, and I mean, just so many things. And then they had this Walt Disney Imagineering area. And I'm also an engineer, so they had the hard hats and safety vests, and you could design your own roller coaster and then get in a car and actually ride it, you know, with the virtual screen. I mean, it was so impressive.
Wow.
And then they had a fairy tale hall with 3 different, let's see, it's Beauty and the Beast, Frozen, and I think Tangled, that they had 3 different areas that were all themed. And my friend said, "Oh, I just want to stay in here all day."
That sounds like the kids get the best bit of the whole ship. I would
Yeah.
just
They
love
do.
it
Yes.
in there.
I do.
I could stand at Imagineering section all
the
the
Marvel bit.
cruise.
And then the Marvel
Yeah.
one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they moved it to deck 2, which I think was a very smart move,
Yeah.
instead of typically on deck 5.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, I think that was very well done. And they designed it so that you can close off certain rooms. So I'm imagining in the future, maybe they would have a private party in the
Yeah.
Okay.
Marvel area, but they could have safely the kids in the other areas without, you know, interacting with anyone, because they make sure that the kids are kept safe and only the parents can take them in and out, you know.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so that was very, very impressive. And they had a lot of character meets. They had a really cute Who's Behind the Curtain in the Grand Hall, where they were giving clues, and then they'd have the characters come out dancing, and that was really cute. And then the staterooms, I think that it will always be for 3 and 4 nights, because my friend who went with me, she has husband and 2 kids, and she said, I think that I would even be a little challenged with storage in here for a 4-night. It's just a little different than the other ships, so it's, I don't know if I came for 7 nights where I would put everything.
Okay.
That's
Really?
really strange to me, because the Magic is really good like that. You have lots of drawer space and
Yes,
covered space. Yeah.
there was hardly any drawers for whatever reason, and then the
Yeah.
TV was flat against the wall that you could not pivot it anywhere.
Yeah.
And it's flat against the wall for the bed. And to my friend's point, she said, well, I have kids and we want to be able to have them watch the TV and draw the curtain so we can have a little privacy and not have them in our bed watching the TV, you know. But it is gorgeous. The room itself was absolutely gorgeous. We had a Frozen themed room, and I really liked the glass door in the shower instead of the curtain. It was very nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and all the lights too are dimmable everywhere. So that made a lot more sense. So what they've done with the lighting.
Yes.
What kind of stateroom did you have?
We just had a veranda, not the deluxe, but just a veranda room on deck 7.
Yeah.
So deck 7 is either Cinderella or Frozen themed.
Right, okay.
Now I remember what we've booked.
Don't
I
ask
think
me.
we're deck 7 as well.
I'm kind of
I
hoping
think-
the Frozen themed room.
Yeah.
In case. I was actually kind of hoping we'd be on whatever floor the Moana themed rooms was on, but yeah.
Well, we could always change it between now and next June.
Yeah.
That's true. I think there's a spreadsheet out there that tells you what each room is if you really want to make sure you're getting a Moana room.
Yeah.
One thing I
goodness.
did notice on the videos that I've seen is that both the cinema and the theatre are a lot bigger. on the on the Wish.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Well, the cinemas, they actually divided into two, the Neverland Theater and the Wonderland Theater, and so they are individually a little smaller, but they were wonderful. And they're, if you don't go see a movie, even go walk through them, they're just beautifully themed. I mean, on the Wonderland, the wall sconces are each a different position of the Cheshire Cat for the wall sconces. The lights, they're just so fun. I mean, the way this ship is decorated is just absolutely amazing. And then the Walt Disney Theater is gorgeous. I am a little broader, and so the seats were not so comfortable for me, I will say. The cinema, I tested the seats and they were just great. I'm like, why couldn't I have done this in the Walt Disney Theater?
I hear you. Yes.
But the shows were absolutely fantastic. And then what they've done in being able to utilize the walls, the ceiling with the projections and the lights, I mean, it's really special. So they had a unique show, Disney Sees the Adventure, which was the not the sailing away show, but that first night show. And it was, it's kind of the one that they all have, the believe or dreams, that all the different characters, but I won't spoil it, but it was fantastic. And it's only 30 minutes, but it was so good. So that's definitely one not to miss. And then the Little Mermaid that they had, and I actually missed that night because there were some live performers that I wanted to see in Nightingales, which is one of the smaller lounges. So you kind of have to go and get a seat there if you want to see the live performers. But my friend went and said Little Mermaid was fantastic. And then we saw Aladdin, which was a little different than the Aladdin on the Fantasy.
Right.
But I still really, really liked it. So, and the talent was fantastic all around, Broadway caliber. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the standard is incredible, isn't it? Yeah.
I remember when we saw, what did we see on
Rapunzel?
It was Rapunzel, Tangled, wasn't it?
Yes.
On the Magic, and we did it.
Yes.
That was incredible. There's just something about a Disney show, especially on the ship. It is just Broadway, West End, sort of caliber.
Yes,
I remember
absolutely.
when we saw, was it Twice Charmed or whatever?
Yes.
Yes. And that's great. The Cinderella twist on Cinderella, that's fantastic. But I do remember there was a chandelier that just kept swaying and swaying because you're on the ship. And you're wondering, is this going to fall?
Yes. Is it something going to turn into Phantom of the Opera? Yeah.
It is amazing what those performers do with a moving ship. And we've seen a juggler juggling knives on a unicycle before while the ship is rocking.
Now that's a talent.
I'm guessing he wasn't doing that during the hurricane last week.
No.
Oh.
No, I wouldn't think so.
So,
but
Amanda,
they had someone. Yes.
Thinking of your focus on solo travelers. Obviously, on this trip, you were with a friend, but would you say that it's a good idea to do a cruise as a solo traveler?
I really enjoyed my one time on the solo cruise, and it was 7 nights. And Disney usually pairs you with others for dinner.
Yeah.
And in fact, my friend and I had requested our own table, and we were paired with another couple who also requested their own table. And then we were told by the manager that they're at full capacity now and nobody's getting their own table, because on the Wish, the tables are all mostly 6 and 8 tops.
Oh, wow.
So you're not going to get your own table. But when I was solo, I enjoyed that because I was paired with 2 couples and then an older mother and daughter. And I had a mojito tasting that they also happened to be at. And we did that together. And then by the time we got to Castaway, I saved them seats while they ran the 5K at the adult beach, and we were palling around. And then, we all became friends, and we were in the later seating. So we just we were closing each restaurant down every night. Our table was great. So that made it a really nice experience. But I also had alone time, which, was wonderful too, to just do my own thing.
So
this is it, isn't it? Everybody gets it. Everybody is a friend. Everybody is willing to stop and talk Disney with complete strangers at random times. It's just a very, very special atmosphere. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I also really enjoy talking with the cast members. I just happen to do that more when I'm alone. and they're very engaging, and they love talking about the ship or where they're from or other ships that they've been on, because a lot of them have had multiple contracts with Disney Cruise Line. So really enjoyed that.
So the big question, did you do the bingo and did you win?
We did not do bingo because Luna is the space where the bingo is, and it's now 2 levels, but you have to plan early to get there. And my friend actually, I had a decent amount of solo time on this because she wanted to lounge by the pool and I wanted to do the activities and see the ship, so she wasn't going to be with me. And to do the bingo, you had to be having someone save a seat while someone was in line to buy it, and that wasn't going to work for me.
Sounds an awful lot of planning for bingo.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. But Luna is beautiful space. But bingo is very popular, as you all know.
I think of it whenever I go into my office, because we have one of these where you have to press a button to choose your elevator, and it shows you which one to go to and the floor that you want. And I'm on floor 11, so every time it comes up with B11, I want to dance.
That's right.
Do the B11 dance.
Oh God, I love the B11 dance. It is so much fun, and I haven't ever won bingo, but I won the giveaways in between the rounds before.
Right. Okay.
And they have some nice prizes that go with those. So it's worth it. It's a lot of fun.
There's so much to do on the ship, because when we found on the Magic that it was only for a 3-night cruise, that every time we were looking at the app, there's like, there's a Marvel quiz, there's another Disney quiz, there's so much. Like, when you think, do I want to relax or do I want to just be? It feels like sort of that mix. You can just pick and choose what you want to do.
Yes.
And how did you find the app experience on the Wish? Was the Wi-Fi better than the other ships, or?
Yes, they've changed it and it's fantastic. So now it's no longer the stress of, if I upload one photo, how many megabytes am I using? It's now buying it per day, and then you can buy 3 different levels. So the cheapest is just maybe texting and uploading some, and then a middle level, and then a top level. So I tried the bottom 2 levels and they both worked fine, and it's just so much better. So it's anywhere from $12 to $36 per day.
That's not bad actually, price wise either.
No.
Yeah.
Compared to what it was before, when you think
it was more expensive before.
I think we spent, must have been $30-something for 100 meg.
I don't know.
When we were on the cruise,
that's
what
what
it used to be. But
Yeah, I've spent over $100 before, and
it doesn't last long, does it?
It's so stressful. No, this was much, much better. And I actually heard that they've already started to change that on the other ships too.
Oh, good.
Good.
That is good.
Yes. Yes.
I like not having access to the Wi-Fi though. I like disconnecting from the world for a couple of days.
So long
I
as
do
you
too.
have your onboard, your navigator,
Yeah.
that's fine. I don't mind.
And that worked so well with, just as you know, my friend and I messaging each other and parting your favorites, and the deck plan on there was very helpful. Really enjoyed that.
Did it take you long to get used to sort of the new layout of the ship, or were you sort of always looking for the map, or just thinking, or just wandering through?
Not too bad. The only part that was a little confusing was in the aft, the decks 12, 13, 14, some of the elevators don't go all the way up, and they only say on the top of the elevators, this one goes to these. So when you call, any of the 8 elevators can come, but you have to make sure it's an elevator going to the floor that you need to. So I would imagine for someone with accessibility issues, that might be a little frustrating that they have to wait.
Yes.
I can go to deck 11 and go up the stairs, but not everyone can.
Or if you have a stroller.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. And did you have any trouble with people leaning on the side and setting off all the buttons? Yeah, I've
at times you almost had to punch it for it to light up, and then other times someone would come along and just lean back and here we go.
Stopping at every floor.
Yeah, it's a definite challenge that they obviously are trying to work through, but there's still some work to do.
Yeah.
Sounds like a game from Imagineers. It's like, how can we make it more complicated and see how many people are
Yes.
around the ship? But
Yes. And they have the interactive game now, which was not active when we were there. So I'm looking forward to doing that in December. That's kind of like the Midship Detective Agency.
yeah,
Okay, yes.
that looks really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we
That'll
haven't
be
had a
fun.
chance to do that because, of course, the Magic didn't have that. So, but,
Yes, right.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. I had to have kids help me with it.
Yeah.
Couldn't figure it out.
But with the staterooms, if I remember rightly, the Disney Wish has quite a few exclusive when you think of like concierge, and it's got the only they've got a stateroom in the funnel.
Yes, they have a tower suite.
That
I
Tower
believe they
suite,
call
that's
it.
yeah.
I feel like that'll be really loud when the horn goes off.
Yes. Oh.
I think it's in the other.
I was going to go, is that you wake up in the morning?
Yeah.
It looks gorgeous. I did have a friend who's a travel agent who toured all the suites, and she actually recommended. I mean, I'm not going to be picky, but she recommended the other suites that she said would have better water views if that's what you're more interested in. But I'll take the tower suite too.
Yeah, I think it's just one of those things. It's just so unique, and I think it sleeps up to 8 people. So I think we could share it amongst us.
Could do.
Yeah. Waffle Suite.
Waffle suite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Disney math. It always works out.
Yeah. Cool.
So I've been really quiet all the way through this conversation because I'm the only one who hasn't done a cruise. And my question to you, Amanda, really is, why should I? If I'm given the choice of going to Walt Disney World or going on a cruise, why should I go on a cruise? Or maybe I shouldn't. What's your thought?
Have you been on any cruises or just not
None.
Disney cruises? Okay. I like cruises because, for one, I love being at sea. And that could be any cruise line, obviously, but I love the sunrises, sunsets. There's just something so incredible about seeing those at sea. I just love the feel of being on the water. And then I like the Disney magic at sea is a little different than what's in the parks. The cast member level of service, not that it's not still good in the parks and resorts, but it's declined a little, and it's still very, very strong on the cruises as far as what I've experienced. And then it's just kind of a feeling of that relaxation, but also getting the Disney magic. So you don't have the attractions, but you have the characters, the shows, the pools, the
All the good stuff.
and it's all condensed right there together. And then if you want to go to any, locations, whether it's Barcelona or Alaska or New Orleans, so you can go to all these different places as well. The theming is just incredible. Like on the Wonder, Tiana's place and the French Quarter Lounge were just fantastic. And I love all the different activities. One of my favorites is the music trivia, which actually they didn't have that much on the Wish. I was a little disappointed, but I love when it's the music trivia and interacting with the different hosts and the cruise directors, and just have very good experiences. Yeah,
I think everything you said tonight, I've been listening to, and just the level of detail in terms of the decor and the thought behind everything sounds like it's a step above some of the other. I don't know if it's a step above the other ships, but certainly, Disney Imagineering, you get used to a certain level, and this sounds like, just talking about, how the walls are and the stuff that you can see, and it sounds incredible. And cruise is not something I've ever sort of really been keen to do. It's extremely expensive, and it's that balance of, is it something that I can justify that cost? But I think the fact that the things you've been talking about makes it sound more attractive than it did about an hour ago.
Good, that's good.
Claire, when you said earlier about going on a cruise versus Walt Disney World, you don't need to split them up. You can do both at the same time. You can see, if you're going to Walt Disney World, you're not far from Port Canaveral.
Yeah, I know.
So you could do a
And you
split
can
stay,
book
so you
both.
can do
Yeah.
both.
I know.
You can book both at once through Disney.
We have
as
talked
well,
about
so.
it before, and actually when we were looking at going, I think it was 2020 when we had stuff booked, and we all know what happened. We actually looked at doing a 3 or 4 night cruise, and obviously that fell by the wayside. And you know where we are now. Next year we're there for 3 weeks. Do we do something in the middle then? I don't know. We'll work it out, but
Yes.
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 there's lots of other stuff to do though. That's the thing. It's
That is true.
there's always stuff to do.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think
Yes.
if you go for 6 months, you'd
Right.
never fit it
This is
all in
it.
at Walt
Yeah.
Disney
I think
World.
if you live there,
Yeah.
the opportunity to do like a short sailing is probably a really good option to gather some of that magic that you haven't just got on your doorstep. It's your doorstep a little bit further away and at sea. So I can understand why it'd be really attractive.
I think Amanda
Absolutely.
is absolutely correct. It's a different kind of magic.
Yeah.
Just like Paris is different to Orlando.
Yeah.
Cruises are
I
different.
thought you were going to start singing Queen there, Peter.
But yeah,
Well, there you go. What can I say?
I wonder whether the Wish is going to offer the Art of the Theme tours that you can get on the other ships, where somebody takes you around and shows you all the different theming and explains the reasons for why this area looks like this and what the thought processes were behind the different places.
They
I haven't got to do one of those yet, but I'd love to.
I did it on the Fantasy when I did my solo cruise, and it was wonderful. And they do offer it on the Wish. And my biggest mistake was that I showed up 5 minutes early, and everyone else showed up 20 minutes early. So it was a group of at least 50, and they were giving out headsets so that people could hear the tour guide, and they were all gone. And she said, "Well, you can walk really close to me." And I mean, there's still COVID around. I thought, I'm not really keen on this idea. I decided not to. So maybe December.
Yeah, I would love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love all the theming details and all the sort of backstage geekery.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think for a first cruise, any of the ships would be wonderful. And if it's a cost issue, one of the other ships is definitely going to be less expensive for quite a while, until at least the Treasure comes out in 2024. So I think any of them would be wonderful. And I know I have friends in New York that are very excited that the Dream is going to be going out of New York. So they've only had the Magic there, I believe. So they're already booked on the Dream for November 2023. Just excited to experience that. And then people on the west coast of the US are very excited to be getting the Magic, I believe, is what's going over there. So
It is amazing
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
much
The
the price
Dream's gonna be-
fluctuates from, because when we were looking at, when we booked the Wish, it was like, okay, could we do a 7-night here or a 4-night there, and on all the different ships, and it's just like, actually, what's going to work out best? How long do we want to spend on a ship? What fits in with the rest of our holiday plans? So we've got the Wish booked for at the minute in the middle of our
next trip.
next trip to Walt Disney World. So
wonderful. And it is very close. It's about an hour, 15 minutes, depending on traffic, always depending on traffic, but not too painful at all. And then there are various transportation methods. Disney offers it. It's not free, but I think it's maybe $55 or so to go in the Disney Cruise Line bus, or there are different shuttles. Some people do the car sharing from if they fly into the Orlando airport. Some people say, do you want to go to the parks before or after? And usually people go before. It changed a little bit with COVID because people were concerned about with the testing. So they were sailing before and then going to the parks. But I think that's shifting again now that those requirements have changed yet again. So
Yeah. I have to say, as we said, we went on the Magic last year, which was obviously during the pandemic, but when it was safe to sail. And I mean, even compared to the level of hygiene and the level of care that were there before, which was superb already, we were so impressed with the way that the CMs handled everything, and you know, the way that you felt completely safe. Yeah,
I agree. I
very
experienced
impressed,
that on the Magic in February too. Yeah.
Okay, Amanda,
And they
ready
have
for
nice hand washing stations here too. Going into Marceline
we
Market.
need those kids'
Yes.
hand washing stations everywhere.
Yes,
They look
yes.
incredible.
Yeah.
So, Amanda, for your trip in December, what's the one thing you're most looking forward to?
Oh, it's a very merry time. So I'm so excited to see the Wish all decorated for the holidays. It was already so gorgeous. I can't wait to see what all they're going to do with it.
Just imagine a huge tree in the atrium.
Yes, I don't know if you've seen online the pumpkin tree that they have in the atrium.
Not yet, no.
I have to have a look.
It's gorgeous, and it's like Halloween chic with like these gold trimmings, and it's beautiful. So it's going to be just absolutely wonderful. We're going the first week of December.
Oh, that's
Right.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very nice. We've always wanted a merry time, haven't we?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because we do love the whole Christmas theming. Yeah, we've in fact all our trips to Walt Disney World have involved Christmas. So because we've been
wonderful.
in November or December, so it's all part of the magic for us.
including the weather you take with
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, can you take it and then take it home with you again? So when I'm there at the beginning of December, it's not cold.
I was going to say, could you just leave it over in Florida for a few months, just so
No,
it's not too
no.
cold over here?
Just like that first week in December, it can come back here, and then I'll send it back when I come home. It'll be fine.
Okay.
I don't want to be taking coats and jumpers and stuff.
Oh,
Well, hopefully it'll be warm for you. I certainly hope so.
yeah.
Yes, it is.
Well, we'll see.
So, I want to say a huge thank you, Amanda, for taking the time to join us today. And now's the time. Did you want to let our listeners know where they can find you on your socials and your podcast?
Sure, meandthemagic.com, and then on Facebook and Instagram, me and the magic. And you can always email me also at amanda@meandthemagic.com.
What I'll also do, I'll put that in our YouTube description and our show notes as well. So if anyone doesn't know, they can just click on the link in the show notes.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for having me. I love talking Disney and cruising. So it's fantastic.
I think we all love talking Disney, don't we? That's I've been doing this for 3.5 years now.
Nearly.
Yeah.
It's a long time.
Time does fly.
We haven't run out of things to talk about yet. So.
Yes.
Disney keeps adding new things, so
That is
They
true.
really
as long as they keep changing and adding things, we'll keep talking.
What did Walt say
Yes.
about opening new doors?
Yeah.
There's always that thing of everything moving forward and
Revolving doors,
Yes.
they're not
Yeah.
opening and closing them.
yeah, that's true.
Well, let me know if you are coming to Walt Disney World. I live about 10 minutes north of the Magic Kingdom. So
Oh, wow.
What's it like?
Yeah.
What's it like being so close to the magic? Just being able to just dip in and out.
love
or...
it. I absolutely love being able to go anytime, although you still have to do the park reservation, but it's almost always available. I go to Disney Springs probably more often than I do the parks or meet friends at a resort for dinner. I love being able to do that, explore the resorts. And I cannot see the fireworks from my house, but if I walk one block, I can see them, but I can hear
You
them.
can hear them.
So I've got.
So when they go off, I said, oh, it's about
So I'm going to
that
ask you a quick question then while we've got you. If when I go in December,
Sure.
I'm travelling solo. What would be your top restaurant recommendation for me? Like I've got 3 Bridges down. That's on the list, obviously. I'm staying at Destino. So where would you recommend?
Oh, great. My absolute favorite, solo or not, is Chef Art Smith's Homecoming in Disney Springs. Solo,
Sit at the
even if you
bar.
can't get a reservation, you can almost always get a seat at the bar, and they're very comfortable bar stools, and the staff is so friendly there, and the food is absolutely fantastic.
I like Homecoming. I've never sat at the bar. I've never had the moonshine. So sounds like a plan.
There you go.
No falling off
Yes.
your chair after drinking too many, Claire.
Me? As it?
We'll have to
No,
send.
she wouldn't fall off her chair at all. No.
Or she wouldn't tell anyone about
Right.
it.
Let's just hope no one takes a picture. That'll be okay.
That's all right. Amanda, you're not fast. You'll have to keep an eye on Claire and just sort of.
Oh, sure. Yeah, if you need any company, let me know. I could always go to Homecoming, and I love Grand Destino and Three Bridges. And it's so beautiful, that area. Oh,
Well, we
yeah,
will
Toledo is so good.
we will be there in a month.
I think Three Bridges has grown
Yeah.
in sort of.
I love.
I'm struggling
Yeah,
to think.
you can't go wrong
I'm
with it.
struggling to think of other places to eat because I could actually just go to Three Bridges every night. I'd be happy. Just pass the corn dip and the curry hummus, and I am a happy girl.
Well, our list includes Three Bridges and Homecoming and Boathouse. So Steakhouse 71, Yak and Yeti. So yeah, we are saving up and we're getting all our money ready.
I think we need to do a dining show at some point.
No dining plan.
We do.
Yeah, no dining plan this year. So sticker shock ahoy! But yeah.
I love Topolino's Terrace too, especially the dinner there. And
yeah.
Italian Il Mulino at the Swan is hard to beat for me. It's fantastic Italian food. And then Boma, well, everything at Animal Kingdom lunch, but Sanaa for lunch or dinner, and then Boma, any of the buffets are good, but especially the breakfast.
I have
so
Boma
good.
breakfast.
We've done Topolino's.
We did
breakfast.
Topolino's breakfast.
Yeah.
Not done the dinner yet.
It's a fun breakfast too. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. Art Smith Homecoming. I'd love to book it in a minute.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's brilliant. So I want to say
Wonderful.
a huge thank you to everyone that's listened to the show today. If you want to catch us on the socials, you can find us at GB Mickey Waffle on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. And I think there's just one thing left to say.
Waffle on.
Waffle on.